Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good to see all you guys again. Actually, you're seeing me, and sorry for that, but it is 2025, and I missed last week with a double ear infection. Didn't know I had a double ear infection at the time. Still a little bit of, one of these things going on. But excited to be here with you guys tonight. Obviously, our prayers are with everybody in California. Um, just unbelievable, absolutely devastating. Natural disasters out there in California. I don't know how you guys do it, in all honesty. Earthquakes and fires and all the craziness that you guys get there. But obviously everyone out there in California, certainly in our thoughts and prayers. It's absolutely devastating. I've had people that I know lose a house to fire, and it's really, there's a grieving process, even though it's just a piece of property and everyone's happy that they get out alive. But there's a lot of things left behind there. So yeah, just feel horrible for those folks out there in California, and absolutely crazy. One of the things that I actually do that I don't really talk a lot about is when I wake up in the morning and I spend time with my kids. We actually have the financial news on every day. So I don't really talk about it a lot, but for those of you guys who have heard me in conversations, obviously there's nothing really from a finance side that particularly concerns me or scares me or isn't something that I can talk about. And it's because I spend about 3 hours every single morning filling up on what's going on with the market, in the markets, from marketeers. And so it's one of those things that I watch, and I watch really often. And I think that, one of the things that, and I don't watch any one particular channel. I spend most of my time on Squawk Box with Joe Kern and Becky Quick and Andrew Sorkin. And I won't call him Andrew Ross Sorkin. But it's just one of those things where I watch that. I watch the financial news every single day. I watch the conversation points from both sides. And, one of the things that's been really interesting to listen to has been, hearing what PG&E, hearing what these companies have done to really reinvest in the last few years, in kind of cleaning things up. So it wasn't something that would be like a start from an electrical fire. So obviously, it's super dry out there, but, now all the news is coming out about what's going on with how improperly managed the resources of California were spent. And so I think obviously it's really scary. But one of the things that I don't think we talk often enough about is where you're investing. And the reason why I think that that's really important is because I really do believe that while the fires aren't the fault of the people in charge, certainly their ability to respond to them, how they respond to them, and what resources they have there ready to tap into to lessen any sort of cataclysmic event like this. And so what really concerns me is when I'm looking at markets, how I relate this to real estate. Again, my wife's grandparents actually spent decades and decades out in California. They have a million friends out there. In those areas that were hit. Some of them are really affluent areas, like 20, 30, 40, $100 million mansions. It's amazing that it didn't matter if you had an $800,000 home or a $800 million home, or $80 million home is probably more realistic. But it didn't matter where you were in the spectrum. You weren't safe. There was no advantage, right? It basically worked and then worked its way to the sea. And then essentially the other fires started, and it's working its way further inland. But again, I think the biggest concern that I have is that, when you're dependent on, and Hyder has one of my points right here, which is, State Farm dropping 100K policies in that area recently. What's really interesting about this is that you look at the two biggest vendors in the state. It was State Farm, it was Allstate, and they were basically trying to divest themselves, from California and from doing business in California. it makes you wonder, and it makes you question, why would a business not want to continue doing business in a certain area, and why we as smaller businesses, why we feel that we're smarter than all of these executives that have all of these actuarial teams that have all of these, massive data mines, and that's something I came from. That's something I spent more time in. And that's where I built my career, was in data and certain data search, and robotic process automation and AI, and how data can be properly indexed to actually get you the richest results and the fastest speeds. So these are all things that I'm very familiar with from my tech career. And what I find just absolutely amazing is that people will run into markets where every other business is leaving. Big businesses are leaving. They're literally running in droves. You've heard the most recent news from Facebook, and they're bringing a bunch of their people back into Texas. Tesla continues to move people into Texas. HP, all these other places continue to move a bunch of people into other markets because California just doesn't get it yet. The leadership there just doesn't get it yet. And I won't be so callous as to, talk about who people vote for and the fact that, like Adam Carolla said, that they got who they wanted. I think that very well might be true, but I think it's because people didn't understand what was really at risk. The stories that we're hearing about reservoirs and the stories that we're hearing about, plans for escape. If you guys have ever seen a natural disaster coming, if you guys have ever been in the path of a natural disaster, people trying to get in their cars and leaving is kind of a punchline. Like, you're going to choke out. You're going to choke out. There's going to be a point when I say choke out, it means that exit point eventually gets choked out and you can't go any further. I think one of the other challenges too, and this is probably where the rest of you drop off the channel, and that's okay. I'll still talk to the couple people that are left. Second Amendment's really important. People are now that fled. There's now literally who's staying? The looters. The looters are staying and they're looting these people's houses. That's who stayed. That's who stayed. That's who's going back in and to brave this stuff, is to loot. Guys, as a society, that is a sign of collapse. I hate to tell you, but houses are burning, lives are in danger, and there's no penalty to these scumbags going in and looting these homes. And the real issue is that what's going to be the ramification for those people? Well, I can tell you, this is where I kind of bring it all full circle. Well, how I would bring it all full circle is how you pick your market and how important that is, right? So as I look through it, and these people are devastated. Many of them are losing their homes. They don't know what they're going to be going home to. And that largely it's not the fault of the weather. You're going to have fires. You're going to have natural disaster. You're going to have that. The idea is, and this is a concept that landlords really understand. And this is why I did my course. This is why I built my entire course, was because I couldn't guarantee you that if I taught you everything that I knew, that I couldn't stop bad things from happening. Bad things happen. That's how the world works. Bad things happen. The issue is how can you shorten it? How can you slow it down? How can you mitigate the risk? How can you keep and save a lot more people than you didn't? Excuse me. Couldn't tell. Still sick. But I'm on the mend. But these are the things that are absolutely horrible. And the challenge is, so Swedish person, I just saw your message. So veteran of Hurricane Katrina. Yeah, it was devastating, right? Can confirm looters will be all that's left. So sort of. The reason why I say sort of is because a lot of the places that were completely devastated in Hurricane Katrina, frankly speaking, were already really poor areas. So what do poor people do? When they relocate, they're not like rebuilding and going back to relocate. It's not going to happen. With the average value of these properties, guess what's going to happen, guys? It's going to be a huge transference of wealth. And why is it going to be a transference of wealth? It's going to be because somebody either doesn't have the money to build back what they had. They were underinsured, and they were scamming the system on being underinsured. I won't go underinsured, so I'll still insure my properties for replacement cost, right? plus for rent replacement. That's how I do it. How I basically reduce the cost of my insurance is I have a higher deductible and recognize that more things are going to be my responsibility. But as we look at our markets and as we try to understand what exactly is going to happen in our market, what happened if something, most people don't know this, but New Hampshire is actually on a fault line. We will have an earthquake someday. We absolutely will. We will have an earthquake someday. And that's something that I have in my policies. I actually have earthquake insurance. I do. I think that's a smart thing to see. Frank Contreras, I'm glad you're in Northern California, or more Northern California than this. But these are the things that I think people need to spend more time thinking about in 2025 is the market that they're investing in. And is it a pro landlord area? If you're in an area that's not pro landlord, guess what? This is the type of devastation that you'll see. Now, let's get down into the nitty gritty. When you're in an area that's not pro landlord, you have the simple problems. Like it takes longer to get people out. You can't evict people in the winter. All of these other ideas, right, that make it more difficult to be a landlord. The more tenant rights, the more things you have to allow for the tenant and allow for time and essentially allowing them to steal money out of your pocket. But then you go the next step. The next step is, okay, well, how do insurance actuarials, how do these guys actually figure out what something should cost? Well, they look at what the cost of replacing things are. They look at what the cost of building is. Guys, do you think that these places are going to be, they're going to be building there for the next 5 years. And that's just the stuff that's close to the ocean. Like Hyder, he lives in San Diego. If I'm Hyder in like 2 weeks, I'm driving my truck up to LA and I'm finding a place close by to live. And I am putting my price tag on the side of the truck and I am just going to town. Like that's what happens in these devastating times. There's going to be this massive flux. I've seen it before. I've seen large companies take crews and bring them to areas like this and set up shop and literally have a booming business for 3 to 4 years because it's all insurance money. But I think that there's going to be another massive transference of wealth. I think there's going to be a lot of people that have insurance that actually can afford to rebuild, but then your shortage is going to be on architects. And guess what? Kind of the only thing about this that kind of makes me snicker a little bit, because I think human loss, I mean, guys, that's not a funny thing. But in the category of just desserts, imagine what it's going to be like to pull a permit in those places. It takes years to get something done now when the entire community has not been leveled by a fire. Imagine what that's going to be like now that you have to replace 8 out of 10 homes or 7 out of 10 homes in a given town or city. 7 out of 10 or 6 out of 10. Imagine what that's going to be like when it used to be like 1 out of 30 had a project. And now it's 6 out of 10. You just went from, something that's 3% to now something that's 50 or 60%. Think about that. That's crazy. Like for some of these people, they're not going to be there anytime soon again. That's where I think that there's going to be this opportunity for wealthy people, people that might like to buy land, as an example, that are going to buy a lot. And what they're going to be buying from is the people that were there generationally that might not understand insurance. They might not understand the fact that they were underinsured. They might have gotten a policy that had recently changed and they were shopping for another policy. And that's going to be tough, too bad, so sad. And I mean, that's the response they're going to get from the insurance company. It is too bad. It is so sad. It is devastating. But that's something that's going to absolutely impact these guys on a very heavy level. So, while they're in our thoughts and our prayers, and while we are actively, hoping and praying for the best for people, this is nothing short of cataclysmic. This is going to shift industries. I mean, literally right now, I can hear Simon, an educated economist, saying there's going to be lumber yards that are going to be there's going to be no need for curtailment. Like those places are going to be throwing those saws on like you read about, because we are talking about so much wood that's going to be needed, so much product that's going to be needed. It's unbelievable. So let's see. Yeah, I think so. I just think it's such horrible bad news. But again, as we're following through the path, right? Like the bad states that are difficult to be landlords in. Yeah, you have the tenant issue, eviction issue, the payment issue. You have all of that stuff, right? What's crazy is that you have the second piece. The second piece is the unintended consequences. California is so stupid as a bunch of leadership, and that's really the worst word to use for these people because they couldn't lead their way out of a wet paper bag. The problem that they're going to have is that with the regulations that were in place and all these people, all these companies walking out of the state, guess what these companies now get to go do? They get to go, see, I told you so. We were completely justified in leaving. We were telling you, California, that these weren't going to be nearly enough to cover our losses. Now you hope that the companies that are still in California, that it's not going to bankrupt some of them. This is the other reason that I look at, and I don't have all of my insurance policies with one carrier. And I also don't have all my insurance policies with one carrier that only focuses on one small area. I need a level of diversification. I need to know that they are solvent if they get hit with a $30 billion in replacement or whatever that number might be for some of these crazy, absurd homes. And yeah, I know a lot of the value's in the dirt. I get it. But I also know that a lot of these places are thousands upon thousands of dollars per foot to build. That's how crazy it gets. So it's going to be absolutely incredibly crazy, but it's one of those things that I think for 2025, I think that you need to be honest with yourself in the market that you're in and just consider, am I at risk? Am I at risk of a bunch of insurance companies leaving? I know some insurance companies are leaving Florida. I get it. I know some of them are, and I know that it's not only California, but California is where the most are leaving. So it'll be very interesting to see how this goes over the next few years. But I think it's likely the end of this presidential term where maybe a lot of those areas are built back. But it's going to be a massive effort. And I'm hoping, it's, excuse me. It could be an unbelievable amount of government funding that goes into this. And that was what will be really interesting to see. So I think, and Wayne, you're correct. They do have the largest exodus in number of people. But one of the things that I've corrected a lot of people in looking at that study, because I read it too, but you need to look at the percentage of population that is. Like, frankly speaking, 1 million people in California is a fart. It's nothing. It's not a big number. My state has 1.3 million people. So 1 million people leaving my state, 100,000 people leaving my state and going somewhere else. That's a massive problem because now you're talking about 7 or 8% of the population, but 1 million people leaving California, it's pretty small. So one of the things that I would encourage you, and here's one of the nuggets of gold that I have for you this evening, is please take a look at that list, but put it in perspective as to the percentage of population that left or the percentage of population that came in. That's what you guys need to be looking at. If you guys are looking at that, you will likely get further down the path, if you will, because it gives you perspective. 1 million people leaving, like what was it, like 1.3 million going into Florida and 1 million leaving, or 1.3 million leaving Cali and 1 million going to Florida. Yeah, big, huge, massive numbers. But look at some of the other smaller states. Look at the percentage of influx, and then look at what the theme is. Look at what the theme is of people and what states they left. It's pretty self-explanatory. So I won't share with you why that is, but don't just look at the gross numbers. Look at the percentage of population that is, and that is what's going to drive a lot of values there as well in these other different markets. So that's a different way to looking at it that I think a lot of people are, that's a butcher knife. And I think people need to be looking at this thing with a scalpel. So that's what I wanted to talk about tonight, was just talking about 2025. Some of the things that you need to be considering from a strategy perspective. And I think that, the market that you're in, and just because you started a market there doesn't mean that that's where you should finish a market. I think that you guys might forget, and I wanted to remind you, I started in a market. And I did one deal kind of in a suburb of, that market. And then I did 2 deals in that market, and I got absolutely blown up by those deals. And it was the great financial crisis and all that other stuff. But even now, those properties are worth a lot more and the rents are definitely higher. But the amount of income that you make on those buildings, if you buy into them now, is low single digits. It's not impressive at all. And there's a lot of stuff that's overselling in those areas. The best thing that I ever did, aside from deciding to, aside from deciding to basically be a real estate investor, the next best decision I ever made was leaving a market and going into another one. It's the best one I ever made, because I left that market, which was complete garbage. So I left that market and I went into the market that I'm in now, and the growth has been unbelievably explosive. And where most people measure their vacancy rates at 4, 5, 6, 7%, I've been sub 1% for a decade. That's how good it is. That's how good it is. So I would encourage you, let this be a reminder to you that it's not just how you have to deal with the letter of the law when it comes to when everything's okay. What does it look like when you don't have reservoirs filled to deal with this? What does it look like when you have a governor show up and go, well, the locals, they'll just have to figure it out? Are you joking? Is this guy serious? Yeah, it's just, they're set up to take care of, 1, 2, or 3 houses, not really a whole block. Well, then why not? Why not? Why do you have nothing in place? Like, seriously, why do you have nothing in place? Like, it's just embarrassing. It's just embarrassing. It's just proof. These people aren't smart. They're not smart. It was a popularity contest. They're not smart. Give me a break. Give me a business person all day long who actually knows how to manage a massive company, not just sorry for the consultants out there, not just some clown consultant, who can bill out at a massive rate. No. Show me somebody that's run these massive businesses. And you know what? Say what you will about our past list of presidents. The guy who gets the most done is the one here. I'm just watching the ticker. The guy who gets the most done is the one who's run the biggest business. Oh, he's going bankrupt. Yeah, because he played by the rules. Absolutely. Yep, 100%. So anyway, let's talk a little bit more about this. Like I said, it's devastating. I feel horrible. Don't kill Kenny. I feel horrible for all these amazing people and losing their homes, but I feel most bad because they were just let down by their leadership. It's not their fault. You're supposed to have some sort of a fire plan for your house. No, that's why you pay a massive amount of taxes. You're supposed to have the people and the machines in place that when something really bad like this does happen, that you're good. That you're good. Have contracts in place with people knowing that you have wildfires. Have contracts with other states around you where it's like, hey, listen, we're pressing the emergency button, get your asses in the air and start picking up buckets and skimming water off the salt water and dumping on this stuff. Right? Like, how can you not have the 8 or 10 states around you with equipment like this? How can you not have those things in place? You're a moron. So anyway, that's just my thoughts. But excuse me, I'm never going to get to the microphone in time. So sorry about that. So let's do this. So Dion, how are you? Wade and Wong, good to see you. Hi, Kim Bishop. Excuse me. Hyder, hello. How are you, sir? Angel R, craziness. I agree. Solos, what's up, everybody? Good to have you here. Ryan Husser, good to have you. Gavin and the mayor should be in jail. That mayor that they voted her in, and that's embarrassing. You should be embarrassed, because I have not heard one thing come out of her mouth that impresses me on every level on any level that she grasps. When she was being asked in an elevator, what do you have to say to these people? The only thing she could think of is, I'm being blamed, I'm being blamed, I'm being blamed, I'm being blamed. You know what she should have said? Here's a high EQ statement. We are absolutely devastated. We are absolutely devastated. And what we have to focus on now is solutions. Clearly, I was part of the problem in how we got here, but we need to focus on solutions. Let's get that focus. Let's get focused on solutions. And that's what I'm going to be doing tirelessly. That's leadership. That's leadership. Missed a few people. Bye. You voted for. Let's see. Angel, Sean Lambert. Hello. Julie Henderson. Hi, Julie. Yeah, exactly. You're going to have more Californians move into Washington. No doubt. Let's see. Robert Farinelli. Hello, sir. Jen Tam. Hello. Swedish Prince. Hello. BuzzTune. Good to see you. Jen Tam. Hi. Yep. So for how many hours have we spent on this year landlording? I'm keeping score this year of who is lazier, you or Dion. So if we take out rehabs, I think I have a shot at time per unit of being lazier than Dion. He's shown me all the secrets. He's shown me all the secrets of lazy. Ninja Vanish 24/7. Good to see you. Got a new pocket holster for my poly protector today. Congratulations, D. That's awesome. Swedish Prince, veteran Hurricane Virginia. Yep, I remember reading that comment. Yeah, sure, I get it. Larry Bird, how are you? Crimson Knight. So we have a problem possibly with my seller finance deal. The seller wants to close with a quick claim deed. This is going to be a long question with a lot of details. I have no idea. I own any deed stuff. I don't have any input on. I literally hand to my attorney. And then I say, explain to me what are the issues and what vulnerabilities that gives me. And then I have to assess whether or not the risk is worth it to me. So I could not answer your quit claim deed, couldn't answer it fairly because even I pay for a bunch of expertise when it comes for that stuff. Angel R, Hawaii 2.0. It'll be interesting to see what they find, with that stuff. Judicial evidence being lost. Oh, I promise there's plenty of that being lost right now. Summertime Santa. Hey, everyone. Hope you're all safe and sound and having a wonderful night. Yeah, I hope you guys are too. And Frank, and good to see you, sir. And Cynthia, I'm sure, is there. Or maybe she's there. It's going to take at least 3 years to lay the first brick to get a permit in California. I don't think it'll take that long. Because I think very quickly, I think that they will vote people out. And I think the federal government's going to get involved. And I think that that's probably the best thing at this point because Gavin couldn't get out of a wet paper bag nor could that mayor, the clown. I was just talking to Jason Hartman. He mentioned things I won't post here for the channel's sake, things I also cannot substantiate, but hope not to be true. Yeah, of course. I mean, this gives conspiracy theorists the ability to theorize. There's been some pretty big conspiracy theorists that have been pretty right the last couple of years. So, are they just more informed? Kim Bishop, sadly, have to work my W-2 this evening. I'm sorry to hear that. I'll come back and watch a future line. That's all good. Putting on an offer for a seller finance deal tomorrow. Don't expect they'll take it, but I don't know if I don't ask. That's exactly right. History of property in reverse order. Current seller got a quick claim deed from Fannie Freddie. Fannie Freddie foreclosed in 2012. Mortgage against the property 1998, Bank of New Hampshire. Mortgage against the property 1993, Valley Bank, quick claim, grantor person AB, grantor person ABC. One person added to the deed in 1986. Yeah, see, I mean, on all that stuff, though, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what they have to pass it with clear title. That's the purpose of title insurance. The thing that I would be making sure is that whatever title insurance company you're using is that they, in fact, have title insurance to make sure that if there is anything that needs to be cleaned up, that it is able to be cleaned up. But yeah, the rest of that question's for an attorney. So I would be talking to the title insurance company, get in black and white exactly what is and isn't covered, and talk to your a real estate attorney specifically about deeds and what that limits you in our state, because Robert and I invest in the same state. Night, Kim. Jim Van Tassel, not only insurance goes up, but the property tax is reassessed when the building is finished. After the Sonoma fire, a lot of people could not afford to rebuild. Exactly right. And Jim, I totally agree with that. That's one of the things that I mentioned in the earlier part of that discussion, which was that's going to be a major wealth transfer, because people that can afford to build or can afford to rebuild, guess what? This neighborhood's coming back. It's going to be better than ever. It's going to be more expensive than ever. The tax is going to be higher than ever. And what that's going to do is completely change the makeup of the area. And it's going to, I mean, just imagine. It's going to be, honestly, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. Houses that might have been worth, a couple of $1 million because the dirt was really valuable. Well, now they're not going to have some, 1,000 square foot home on them. They're going to get a 3,000 square foot multi-level. Yeah. I mean, that's what's going to happen. That's absolutely what's going to happen. Hyder should be in there buying charred lots. Robert Farinelli, NH is in NH, so it's 20 years statute of limitations, a transfer of ownership, I believe so. Looking at the county deeds, it looks like I am safe. Again, I agree, but we always want to, that's where I always spend money on the professional opinion. I have the conversation, I get the professional opinion in black and white, and then I respond back to that. And then just say, hey, just so you know, if something does come of this, I need to be able to, hire you to do this. Is that something you'd be willing to do? If they say no, then that's not an opinion I go with. If they say yes, then that's absolutely an opinion I go with. New buy box, Rob. Yeah, no kidding, right? Let's see, Jordan Alla. There should be a wealth transfer there. Yeah, there absolutely will be, Jordan. Yep. At this point, it is the same game they play. I'm here in Indiana and we have severe aging infrastructure. Yep. Think as an investor, you will have to consider risks. Yeah. I mean, aging infrastructure though, does get replaced over time. All due respect to Indiana. I'm in the oldest part of the country, New England. We're it. My town's been a town for 400 years. I think it's the number 8 oldest town in the entire country. And so we have a lot of that old infrastructure, but every 30 to 40 years, that infrastructure does get updated. The houses don't. We continue to build and add new houses and rehab existing homes. So yeah, all that stuff happens. But the other thing that happens as well is all the infrastructure continues to get upgraded. So we continue to see that. We continue to see that stuff get upgraded. So we see a lot of that. Yeah. Jim, we should connect in Oakland. I'm in Oakland. Maybe see you in Vegas. Yeah, very cool. I will see you guys in Vegas. I saw, Robert says, I saw no other liens or title transfer against the property and its history. Thoughts on all of this? There you go. There you go. Talk to the lawyer. That's what I would say. Talk to the lawyer and make sure you have the right type of title insurance in place that's actually proper, because they need to be able to transfer title. Let's see. Yep. California does have a large excess. Lars Nielsen, leaders step up, take responsibility, and come up with solutions. Let's never confuse a politician with a leader. Yeah, true story. And certainly not in California. Guys, I think for those of you who are in my course, we host everything in Mighty Networks. And Lars, thank you for bringing this to my attention. Lars and a few other folks brought it to my attention. I'm thrilled that you guys are still in those courses all the time. But they brought it to my attention that there was an issue. There was some issue with how they did auto renew, and that they did away with auto renew or something to that effect. And so basically what had happened was a couple of days it had gone into what's called a trial mode. But basically, as soon as I was notified, got on with Mighty Networks, got on with the marketing team, we were able to fix it. So if you're wondering, the Mighty Networks environment's completely back up. It's going. Apologize for the blip for the day that it was it was down for about a day. So I apologize for the day that it was down, but we're good. It's back. Everything's up and going and operational, and everything is still there. Let's see. Hey, Wealth Building Journey. Good to see you. Jim Van Tessel, you'll be in Vegas. Good. I look forward to meeting you. Let's see. Yes, you guys should all be making sure that you make time together. Kyle Dorn, hello, sir. Time to move to Vegas. Yeah, I know, right? We're definitely still going to buy a place in Vegas. We just haven't gotten there yet. But yeah, so we're working on some things that might shift that. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, we'll still eventually own something in Vegas. Um Kim's really heading out now. Summertime Santa, the DEI fire department video said, if you find yourself in need of help from a fire, you are obviously in the wrong place. Oh no. Doug Casey had a YouTube post on that STS. Oh, interesting. Let's see. As bad as Summertime Santa, as bad as it sounds, they got what they voted for. They were as smart as you, Matt. They wanted to vote for it. Yeah, I mean, I think again, at the end of the day, I still feel compassion and empathy for people that are going through losing their homes and things like that. Because I think a lot of people don't really understand what their vote means. And is it a little bit of shame on them? Yeah, it kind of is, I guess. But again, the biggest and most devastating thing is, these people were elected and they were put in these positions, and they're complete and utter buffoons. They're fools. They're absolute fools. You could take any person that ran a 10-person company and they would do a better job of managing this than those fools. They're all about what's it going to look like when the news comes out that I cut the budget for the police, I cut the budget for the fire department. Really? Come on. Angel R. I have friends in California. When I asked why they voted for Gavinson, they said because he's handsome. Okay, then in that case, shame on you. Won't surprise me if he becomes president in 2028. Oh yeah, that's not going to happen. Yeah, I'm not worried about that. Not worried about that one little bit. My at that time, my 9-year-old could run against him and win, because his track record is just so abysmally awful. And the only people that think he's doing a good job are the people in California. That's it. Nice elevator pitch. Yeah. Larry Bird, you see that Joe Rogan clip from 2024? Yeah, I did. Yep. Said a firefighter told him the exact situation was bound to happen with fire and winds in LA. Yeah, it makes sense. Hopefully they'll Summertime Santa. Hopefully they'll fix that move in forward and have more common sense solution. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the other thing too is that, a lot of building products now, they make a lot more product now that's flame retardant. But I think the biggest issue is, as it always is, which is it's having a plan in place and then drilling that plan. Like, you got to drill that plan so it's second nature. If any of you are athletes, what did you do? You practiced all the time because you wanted to make it second nature. It's the same as the rent box that I teach. It's the same as here's how you were evaluating a property. It's the same as here's how you were evaluating a tenant. All of those things that I'm teaching you aren't so you hear it once. They're so you practice them and make them muscle memory. And that's that way when you're going through the process, it's not you're having to think about it anymore. It's just that's how you do it. And that's when you win. That's when you get to the point where you're like, holy cow, I just jumped the chasm. This thing is now easy. I see it. Everything is in slow motion for me, and I see it. And that's where I think the big opportunities are for people. And when you run a small business, you have to anticipate some things and not put too many eggs in one basket. As your business gets bigger, you think about how much more inefficient you get. But where's the insurance? If your responsibility is the public safety, that's your responsibility as a politician. In your state, it's public safety. I don't know what you're expecting for a grade, but if there was worse than F, you'd get it. It's delusion. So, Newsom Leaney requires tar and feathers, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, again, he'll never win anything nationally. He just won't. Angel Earth, that's my biggest fear. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. Truthfully, I wouldn't worry about it. Doesn't matter what he does, doesn't matter what he says in front of people, the record will stand. And he's got an abysmal record. Abysmal. His state does incredibly well when the stock market's flying and COVID just helped those guys sail through it and have, budget busters. But how much did they save for a rainy day, and how much money are they going to need from the federal government? Yeah. After having what would have been some of the biggest surpluses in history in all of mankind, because California is still the 9th largest economy in the world. Think about that. They're going to be negative. It's unbelievable. I like UE and his saying that don't put your faith in these people. Yeah, I mean, again, I think faith belongs where it belongs. And I think that you're to plan. I think that you're to Mitigate risk. That's one of the things that I teach in the lumberjack course is mitigation of risk. How do you make things smoother, slow things down to speed them up? And what are the main areas that you need to focus on to make sure that you don't get caught? At the end of the day, I can only mitigate so many risks. So I'm eventually going to get caught. Well, the idea is how badly do I get caught? Right. And so I can do it all right. I can have all the right processes. I can have done all the right things. I can have thought about as many things as I could possibly think about. And I'm still going to eventually have to write a check for something because it was something that I missed or a ticky-tack thing. Something like that will happen. And when it does, then you just write the check. But the idea is that you never want to be in a position where one thing can take you out of the game. That's where you don't want to be. Dion, Jim Van Tassel. Dion will love that there are already so many California transplants. I mean, he is Californian. Excuse me. Sorry. Let's see. I think quitclaim deeds come with a waiver of liability or rights. I don't think any more than that. Yeah, the big thing is they're different in every single state. And so the most important thing is to make sure that, they have to be able to transfer clean title. I've had a title issue. It was 4 years later when I tried to refinance a property, they found a title issue. They went back to the title company and they basically said, yep, you got to clean this up. You got to pay to clean it up. And it cost them probably $10,000 to clean up, but they had to clean it up. And then the new title company was fine and we were good to go. So that's what I would just make sure you focus on is the rules are different in every state and what it entitles. What it entitles you to. The idea is making sure you understand what risk you have. Robert, nice non-answer on how many hours spent, but okay, I will calculate this by total time spent, rehab time, unit. Yeah. I mean, it is an answer because you have to compare apples to apples. So the apples to apples comparison between Dion and myself is we wouldn't count time Dion spends rehabbing because Dion doesn't rehab. Dion doesn't buy projects that need rehabbing. So when it comes to management of my existing tenants, management of the problems that they have, management of those resources and how much money and time and effort I spend, that's the category. The other category is Dion doesn't want to build his business. I do. This nation was founded on a conspiracy against the king. It's true. Trade Better, Evening Lumberjack. Good to see you, Trade Better. What are your thoughts about investing markets with ancient infrastructure? My area, Richmond, Virginia, currently no water due to failing stations and is boil only for foreseeable future. So I don't mind. So when I invest in those markets, it doesn't bother me. We have stuff that we haven't had that piece yet, but we've certainly had sewer pipe emergency replacements, water main breaks. All due respect to Virginia, try being a landlord in a cold weather environment. I'm sorry, guys. There's nothing harder. Because we have 4 seasons. So we don't just have heat in the summertime and then the rest of the time is, rather okay. We have, it has been, I'll give you guys here. I'll tell you exactly what it was. Here, I'll give you an example. Right now it is 20 degrees outside. For the last week, it has been as cold as 5. It's been wind chill -2. Like that's a different type of landlording because it's heat systems and it's the rules around it can't be less than 58 degrees for more than 8 hours, or they can start fining you like $100 an hour or something crazy like that. When you bring cold weather into it and older infrastructure, these temperatures that we see, there's ebbs and flows to them, but there's that much more now that will break because of water lines and things like that. So old infrastructure doesn't bother me. It's just one of those things. The idea is as a landlord, you have to make sure you have something set up to handle for when those things go badly. So if those things go badly and it's a boil only water type of thing, in my eyes, I would be finding out a way to buy a water tank, have a water tank there, and then have that thing filled up twice a month or whatever it takes to fill it up twice a month. And that way you put your tenants in a better situation than everybody else. That's how I would do it. So you always have to account for those things. But yeah, I mean, I would be, if that's what it is right there in that part of Richmond, I would be calling states, maybe one state away. And I would be trying to source a big water tank. And there's tons of them out there, and you need a food grade water tank is what you actually need, a food grade water tank. And then I would have water that then gets put in there. And then I would put some sort of a temporary filter in the house that might cost you a couple $1,000. But does it mean losses? Yeah, it does. I mean, it means losses for maybe but that's also why I don't like single family homes. But that's what I would be doing. I would be finding a way to make the situation that much better for my tenants, but I would have thought of something else. So when we have a freeze at a property, we'll spend usually a couple $1,000, not fixing it, but fixing it and then figuring out exactly how it happened and then eliminating that risk. Maybe it's moving a water line. Maybe it's more insulation. Maybe it could be a number of things. But we do all that stuff to make sure that we're in a better position. That way it doesn't happen again. So when we had that minus 37, we were super blessed when we had minus 37 that we only had 4 units that had issues. 4 out of, at the time, I think we had 130 or 135. So we had 4 units that had issues. Now it kept us busy all weekend long because they had a bunch of issues. But we believe that we've addressed all those issues, and so they're no longer an issue. So we believe that that's been addressed. Hopefully we're right, but I believe we are. But in being right and in having fixed that, so far we've had some really cold weather already this year, and thankfully we haven't had any issues. So we're, but it does take kind of getting in front of it. Robert Fairley, quick claim deeds, supposedly deeds without warranty. I've spent way too much time tonight in PhD level literature on this topic. Yeah, I mean, again, at the end of the day, I wouldn't waste that time. That's why I pay experts. And you're going to have the same conversation with the attorney in the morning anyway. I want to know what their take, and I want to talk to another attorney too. I want to get 2 attorneys' opinions. But that's what I think is always best. Get the expert's opinion times 2. What's the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth? 6 months. Hey, not wrong. Not wrong. Been a lot of right? There's been a lot of right like that. Politics, poly meaning many, ticks meaning blood-sucking creatures. Nice. Ninja Vanish, all that property tax will be missing from the local, state, and governments. Absolutely they will. Well, will they? I don't know that that's how it works. You could be right, but I don't believe that that's how it works. I believe that the taxes still have to be paid. Yeah. Pretty sure. Jordan Outlaw, it is like musical chairs and the music changed and you can't tell if it's slowing or speeding up. Yeah, it's true. A lot of moving parts, right? Kyle, hire Jennifer. So far, so good. Nothing solid yet, but love her process. She's awesome. Totally agree. For those of you who are wondering who Kyle's talking about, we had Jennifer, who's an amazing virtual assistant and wholesaling company. I hired her. I never talked to you guys anything about, other vendors necessarily, I guess, unless I've used them myself, and used her team. They created a bunch of leads. We've got a nice little funnel that's kind of rolling because we were just looking to do it a little bit differently and create a little bit more deal flow. So yeah, she's been fantastic. Farinelli, I have a renewal coming. Supposedly I'm underinsured at 480. Replacement costs were estimates at 600. Is this a problem? Only if your place burns down. That's the issue. You can pay for that higher insurance. You can save. It depends on what the savings is, and that's the number that I run. If I'm going from a $16,000 or $1,600 renewal down to a $1,400 renewal, and the difference is $120K, well, I'm paying $1,600. If I'm going from a $1,400 renewal to a $2,800 renewal, and the difference is $120,000, I might hesitate. But what I'd probably look at first, and what I've done is I've actually increased my deductible. Big Hill, great time for me to cancel my home insurance. I hope that's a joke. All nighter hider without voting accountability. I don't see any reason why the public isn't just told who they voted for next. I don't disagree. Right now, prices I have State Farm 1180 at 480. Replacement cost renewal Vermont. See, there you go. I mean, that's easy. Then it's Vermont at 1350. Depends on what you mean. Andover is worse than Vermont. Depends on what you mean. Vermont's got better pricing. Andover is more likely to pay faster, but they're also more likely to give you far more inspection things to manage on an annualized basis. Has been my experience over the last decade. Anna K. Hi, Anna K. Your rent box works really well, better than any tools. Thank you, Anna K. So what Anna K is talking about is the rent box. We have like a 17 category spreadsheet that we actually utilize to assess market rents, times on market, etc. But what it really does is it allows you to get the absolute most for your unit and not waste a bunch of time mispriced. Kyle Dorn, batch dialer is expensive. Are you using something else that is cheaper with her? Nope, I use that. If that's what people are used to and that's what, speeds the process up. Yeah. Angela, are you raising rents this year? Yes, I already have. Yep. I've already raised rents for some in January. In fact, I think somebody's moving in this week. And I think we went from, so that one was a fresh move in that went from like $13.95. And I hated this tenant. This tenant sucked. They were stupid, and they clogged toilets with wipes. Like these tenants were a-holes, absolute a-holes. And it wasn't that it happened once, it happened like 4 times. A-holes. And I had talked to one of them, and basically they were like, oh, well, that's quite the increase. I was like, it's really not. So I knew that they were going to leave, and thankfully they did. And I went from the $13.95 that they were bitching about to $17.45 that the tenants are ecstatic about. This is why I'm telling you, the binder strategy that Dion has is a fantastic strategy. And we do our text binder version. We've been doing that for over a decade, and it works really, really, really well. But stop being afraid that you're not going to come to a fair number. Say no if you want. Just say no. I raised their number. That was the number that they named. And within 60 days, they found another place because I felt like they weren't really ready for that number. And so I didn't really want to sign them to a lease. And I hated them as a tenant. I was very happy. I threw a freaking party. People who say, but the stock market is at all-time highs don't realize that's because of inflation, not because of valuation growth. Absolutely. In fact, what it's even more scary about it is it's more due to, it's more, yes, it's inflation, but it's more on multiples. A lot of companies, during the great financial crisis had 8, 10, 12, 14 multiples. And now some of these companies have 81 multiples. You guys can figure out which company that is. 81. That's their multiple. You know who else had who had multiples, that were insane? Overstock.com, multiple over 100. Amazon.com, multiples in the hundreds. This is how crazy this is. So yeah, Dion certainly is part of that picture for sure. Price to earning ratios are curse word levels. Yeah, true story. Guess our rates are going up? Absolutely. If you're, that's the other thing that you got to look at. When I look at the companies that I have insure me, I know where else they have big portfolios. Guys, this is just due diligence. As a business, I'm doing due diligence. I don't want them only in my area, but I also want them a little bit more spread out. But I also don't want them, them having a big chemical waste division. Yeah, I mean, here's the problem with that. Oh, well, it's a separate division, separate P&L. Yeah, well, when the company's about to go bankrupt, they're going to take the money from the parent company, from the core company. That's how it works. Ugh. Hi, Key. Good to see you, my friend. Angel Arts, right through where was going. I think Dion's simple approach is the way forward. Retire early and enjoy your life. Yeah, I think so sure. Yeah, you can. I mean, it just depends on how you want to retire. Do you want to retire on 10 or 15,000 bucks a month? Sure. That's a lot of money for some people. For a lot of people, that's a lot of money. I don't disagree. I just didn't want to retire on that little. I wanted stacks. I wanted to retire and do whatever I want. I went out and I spent $2,000 on baseball cards today. Why? Because I can. I don't even think about it. I tell you, because it wasn't there was no hesitation there. I was just like, yeah, I'll do 2K. That works. So it just depends on how you want to live. And Angel, the biggest difference you're going to have when you get married, when you have kids, if all those things happen, your money disappears a lot faster. So that's the biggest thing. Dion has it 100% right. If you are a bachelor and you have no financial responsibility for kids, 15 grand is a great lifestyle. I could live on half that and be ecstatic. But I have a wife and 4 kids, and I have a lot of financial things that I want to be able to do for them. And so that's why 15 it's not there. 15 is not the number for me. That's why you guys got to right size your business. And again, for me, it's what your velocity was. I spent a lot of years where I did a couple of buildings, a lot of years. You guys got to remember that. So for a 22-year journey, think of it this way. For a 22-year journey, 22 years, 80% of the years that I did this, 80% of them, I did 2 deals. 80% of my years, I only did 1 or 2 deals. 80% of them. That means that only 2 years is where I blew it up and I did all these things to move around to create this massive wealth spectrum. Think about that. 80% of my years. And when did I strike? I didn't make the time I struck. I waited for the market to develop and prepare for itself and for me to recognize the opportunity. And then 23 deals, 18 months. That's how I did it. 80% of those years, 80% of them, I did 2 deals or fewer. The difference was I was ready to move when I knew what the game was and when I knew things could flip. That's when I moved. And that's when I printed. Because now I've got 85% of my debt at 4% or less, 30-year fixed rate debt. There you go. Key, subfloor is okay after flooding, fan and crawl space. Yep. And dehumidifier run every night. Absolutely. We've done this before. You nailed it. Hyder, from what I remember about quitclaim deeds, I'll let you cover the quitclaim deed stuff. Here's an off-topic question. How do you keep PVC pipes from bursting outside in cold weather? Outside? You largely don't. The best way to do it, if they're outside, is to get heat tape. Wrap them up in heat tape, put insulation around those, and then just plug the heat tape in. That's your best way to do it outside. Yep. Do you recommend to install dehumidifier in the crawl space in a Bay Area climate? I don't know enough about the Bay Area climate, like long term, but I think that you can never go wrong with putting a dehumidifier in a space that might get a significant amount of moisture, because that will rot wood. It will create, pests and things like that. What I would do is I would just have it on a proper setting so it's not constantly running. Have it on get one that's nice enough and expensive enough. You can also do something called an EGX, an ERX. Basically, it's like an air exchanger, and what it does is it takes air from your house and pushes it into the basement. And that way it's getting the air down there, but it exchanges air between your basement and your house and your space. Laura San Diego, how are you? Wealth Burden Journey, thank you very much. What are some pipe covers which might make sense? Pipe covers that might make sense. So if you look at Home Depot or some store like that, or even like a plumbing and heating store, they make, again, I go heat tape, and then I go with what's like a cast. It's like a fortified meshed paper on the outside and yellow on the inside. And sometimes I can do the paper, then I can do like a foam, and then I can do the mesh on the outside. Just literally look up insulation companies and talk to them, have them come out and say, so what would your solution be for this? I'd like to understand why. Because they're the ones that insulate all the time, and they'll be most in tune with what's going to meet the need of your environment. And you can even tell them, hey, what if we drop 30 degrees? How would I handle that? Right. And they'd be like, oh, well, that'll never happen. Well, find the person that believes that that could happen and understand what they want to say about how that should work. 100%. Yeah. But it's not on you. But it's not on you to make sure there are no title problems. You pay for title insurance, $750. I had one issue. It got cleared up. It didn't cost me a penny. Done. I didn't even have to do anything other than be notified it was a problem and then be notified that it was done. And that was what the previous policy did. It worked. Jim Van Tessel, do you have the same issues with PEX as copper? No. And galvanized pipes? Yes. Freeze PEX is supposed to expand better. So it does expand better. It's a little bit more resilient. The thing that it's less resilient to is pests, rats, things like that. They can chew through that stuff in a millisecond. And then the copper, usually the issue that you have with the copper is it's usually around joints. And it would be the same thing with PEX. PEX is seemingly a little bit more resilient, but the bigger reason that a lot of people use PEX is because there's fewer T's or there's fewer 90s because it's flexible. You can feed it to where you want it to, which gives you better flow of water to where it needs to get to. But yeah, Galvi pipe, we always replace. Galvanized pipe, we always replace every time. Yeah, it's good that you're able to investigate. Obviously, that's all a good thing. But again, title insurance fixes the problem. Title insurance fixes the problem. Jack Stewart, Jack's here. Went to see the Pens game. They actually won. I can't spell the team they were playing. Good to see you, Jack. Yeah, insurance does come with a title company. Yeah, it's title insurance, $750. Yep. One thing I heard is the companies won't insure quick claim, but we find out, no, they absolutely do. No, it's not true. They absolutely insure those. Yep, 1,000%. Because I know I've had a number of properties that I've closed with a quick claim deed, and I know that I got title insurance at closing. It's true. The Penguins don't sell pumpkins. It's true. Pumpkin pie, I mean. Angel R, hey Matt, how do you handle tenants on a duplex that won't clean the snow? And at least it's their responsibility, and I'm liable if they don't. So the issue is it's their responsibility, right? And it says their responsibility, but here's where that's lacking. It's lacking because it doesn't show what the cost of the penalty is if they don't, right? If you do that, you're in trouble. Okay. If you do that, or if you don't do that, it's going to cost you $200. In my state, I can say that. I can say, your responsibility is to clean the stairs in your lease. If you don't, there will be a $200 fee. Yep, there you go. That's how you do it. Hyder, I already told you what the answer is going to be, dude. Robert, you can remind us next week that title insurance does cover quick claim deeds in our state. If the world were the same place, Newsom would be done in politics forever. This entire thing is completely unacceptable. Taylor Stanley, I completely agree with you. 1,000%. 1,000%. But there's a state that still votes him in to office all the time. You know what? Maybe they'll eventually get tired of their decisions. Maybe. Dion is a diver. Wealth building journey. I'm dealing with tenants such right now. 2 clogged toilets in a month. So what you do after the first clogged toilet, because they might not be on your lease, what you do is you say, listen, this is not, and this is why you pay to have a camera go down the line. You have the camera go down the line. You identify, is it skirting? Is it a broken pipe? Is it a collapsed pipe? Is it an oblonged pipe? If you can confirm that it's none of those things, then it's an issue that they are causing. When you find out that it's an issue that they are causing, because you can say, we scoped it, here's a copy of the video, This was completely avoidable. If this occurs again, please make sure that anything that's going down the toilet is only human waste or plain regular toilet paper. Anything else will create a problem. And then assess them what that cost is. Please note that the cost to getting a Roto-Rooter company out there is a $599 fee. I'm not charging anything additional on top of that. However, whatever that invoice is will be added. You will be billed. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. NVIDIA. Yeah, well done. Well done, Chester. Yep, exactly. NVIDIA, 81 multiple. It's not Taco Bell Hider. Hider makes it so it doesn't get clogged. Kyle Dorn, threw my Michigan property up for sale 5 days ago. Got full asking price offer. Went under contract yesterday morning. Can't wait to offload that mutt. Thanks for your guidance. Kyle, I love that. That's what we want to do, right? Guys, stop thinking that you got to pay the dues for the rest of your life on a property that you want to get rid of. Get rid of it. I just sold one. We just closed on Monday. Oh, my word. Thank God that thing is gone. Oh, what a pain in the ass. So one of the thing gone. Took my profit. 1031 exchange. 1031 exchange. I got $250,000 sitting there. 1031. Super excited. Steven, good to see you. Wealth building journey. Matt is right. Expenses even faster than income. Scales exponentially, not linearly. True story. How many doors have you acquired, Cox family? Since when? Ever? I'm at 150 something. Yeah, I'm at 150 something. But I don't know. But if you're asking me since when, the first 5 years sucks. Phase sucks. Yeah, true story. Key, you're welcome. Kyle Dorn, met a girl cold calling Monday. She was very defensive at first. Told her my story. She trusted me. She met Taylor when looking at her house. Became friends and wants to sell to me on seller financing. Phenomenal. This is what I love. The heat tape, foam, and mesh. Yep, makes great sense. That and talking to plumbers. Yeah, just talk to them first because they might have like an already, like, here's the widely acceptable thing that we use in this area. That's the thing that I always like to make sure people have a chance to get the answer on without necessarily having to pay for it. Kyle Dorn, second seller finance deal structured this month, by the way, 6-bedroom, 3 full bath house, brand new roof last week. Cash cow. Love it. Crushing. Solos, question. Yes. How do you go about making sure doors are properly sealed so they don't have a draft? I've been having issues with this even with new doors. Yeah, it means they were uninstalled. Or that means they were installed improperly. They probably and likely aren't properly shimmed. And so they're probably twisted out of plumb is what it's called. The best thing that you can do is make sure that it's not twisted. So have a carpenter come and look at it and see if it's twisted, see if it needs a tweak. Second thing you can do is you can do something called, if it's a brand new door, it's definitely something that's twisted. If it's not a new door and it's an older door, you can use weather stripping or replace the door. And then if you want to know exactly to be able to quantify how much that is, you can hire an energy company to do something called a blow door test. And what they basically figure out is how much heat you're losing out of your door, along with other places, but that's what you can do. Mike sounds distant. Hopefully it's better now. Jack Stewart. Matt, can you go over why you don't supply fire extinguishers? Yep, watch this. Your Honor, yeah, I mean, the place burned, but I just was using the extinguisher that the landlord had given me. You have to then maintain them. You have to be the one to check them up. You have to do all of that stuff. Every bit of it. So that's why I don't provide them, is because then I'm responsible to check them all the time. Not a big deal when you have 4 units. Not a big deal when you have 8 units. Massive deal when you have 150 units. Anything that I do I have to then follow up on and check on those things that I'm providing. That's why I don't provide them. That right there. Robert Finelli, that was something someone on YouTube was, hence why I'm asking my lawyer tomorrow. I know, I'm telling you they're wrong because they are wrong. I know I've gotten title insurance on quick claim deeds. Stewart Title, American Title. Those are two of the biggest. And so, you can Google that, Stewart Title and American Title. Wealth Building Journey, got it. They will definitely know that. Yeah. So would I pay Roto-Rooter and then invoice them in addition to the monthly rent? I don't. So I invoice them right after I pay Roto-Rooter. So I come up with I have my own invoice, which has our company logo on it, or our, basically our rental business. And we just send them that. We just say, hey, here's the bill for this. And if they don't pay, and we have our own terms in there, which is that this is due upon receipt. Absolutely. We build them. And what was funny? They didn't pay it. They moved. I took another security deposit. It was an open bill that they had not paid. Yep. Caldorn. Yep. Billed one of my tenants last month for pouring cooking grease down the sink. One of her kids did it, but still it was billed and it's paid. Guys, there you go. God bless your soul for having the strength to deal with so many tenants. Too bad apples are making me hate people. Yeah, honestly, I have, 400. If you take the course and you follow what I teach in the course, set up the processes that mean you don't have to deal with them. That's the easiest way to do it. Set up the processes that mean that you don't have to deal with them. And that's just automating your business. Paul Jensen, 1031 to a Lambo. It's not allowed. I checked. Not allowed. It's a like-kind exchange. No one considers it that. I might have missed your answer, but when is your next boot camp? So we have not announced that yet. I'm just trying to coordinate the dates. I will do another boot camp, like February, March, April, or end of January, February, March, April. I will be doing another boot camp. And then the next one, if I do one, it will be at the end of the year. We don't do a lot of the boot camps just because, as you guys saw in those times, they sell out super fast, which I love. I really always respect that and appreciate that. But as you guys have seen, it's 2, 3, 4 hours every Saturday. And we would also probably move a night, or I have to figure out kind of what that's going to look like. So I might do a double. Just because I know that I'm not going to do anything from like end of April to at least September. I won't do anything. I won't do a boot camp. Big Hill. A friend has a crazy draft from the door when the wood stove is on. Interesting. And yeah, I mean, that's definitely, you still got it's an airflow issue, obviously. Kyle Dorn, by the way, Backsplash looks like $1 million. We'll have pics uploaded soon. Keep your eye out. I'm looking for it, Kyle. So Kyle was in the boot camp. I have a couple hacks for how to do kitchens much less expensively. There's a special type of backsplash. And when most people, it costs them $600 to $1,000 to do a backsplash. I've found a way to do a backsplash for usually less than $150. And it looks killer. It beats anything else out there you're going to find. Kyle Dorn, got it. Yeah, not to the point. Would non-payment of the bill constitute a lease violation? Because our actions. I would talk to your attorney on, because that's really going to be more state specific. However, it is a bill that you can send, and I don't know what the rules are around collections around that piece, because mine have always just been paid. And if they weren't paid, then when they left, I took it out of their deposit. And then if they were going to go after that, then that's fine. Jack Stewart, do you make it so the tenant has to have an extinguisher that they supply, or does the lease say nothing about it? We don't require it. Yeah, we don't require it, because their insurance policy, if they don't have renters or something like that, like my policy covers fire for my building. Thanks for posting the link. I appreciate it. TBS 24. So in the LA Valley right now, stay safe. We coincidentally had a commercial fire insurance policy quote before this all started. We tried binding it, but they won't bind, still covered with the old policy, but want to force them to bind it as we fear prices will go up. Anything we can do? TBS 24, that's a great question. I don't know. I don't know of any way that I don't. So I don't know of any successful way to force an insurance company to bind. I think I don't know that you have. I don't know that you have the ability to force that. Yeah, I don't know that. I mean, if you're in California, I would talk to some sort of consumer protection something, and ask them and basically explain to them that exact situation. Explain to them that exact situation. That's what I would do. I would talk to them about that, because they bound it. So that gives you what you need typically to like close or move away from your old policy. But yeah, I would talk to some sort of a Better Business Bureau or something like that and say, what's the point of them binding it and saying that we have coverage if they're then not going to actually bind it and give us coverage? I don't know exactly what the rules are in California about that, but I think that's why a lot of people are moving from California. And I would guess that California's got some heavy, nasty rule that's probably on your side. Summertime Santa, 1031 year, Ford Ranger from the 80s into a Lambo. That is the kind, they both have four wheels. It's true, they do. I'm considering, so we've got the community house. Haven't been to it in a month, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Haven't been there in 4 weeks because I've been sick for 3. But we'll get back out there. We'll do a video again. I don't know what's actually been updated. I haven't spent any time there or any time text messaging it. I mean, and that's not true. Maybe 10 minutes text messaging about it saying that somebody dropped something off. Yep. I just got the phone with Economic Ninjas Mod, trying to make the collaboration happen. Travis is just getting back to interviews, apparently. Cool. For me, I'm available. Jack Stewart. That's weird. I was thinking maybe if the face was facing the door, that the opening from the stove, sucking in the air. Yeah, possible. But it's pulling through the door. But yeah, I don't know how that's possible. Yeah, it's impossible to say. Yeah. Let's see. Samuel Ogunlade. Hopefully I did okay with your last name. But I love the name Samuel. It's my son's name. How do I get over the mental hump of investing in a duplex versus starting my real estate journey with a single family home in a situation where I could afford single family outright, but ROIs are low? H-Town, Texas. I think that's it. I think that, I think that the return always tells you where you should be investing. If single families are low returns, 3, 4, 5%, like, what are we talking about? I don't like them. I don't like single families, especially if you're in Texas. I hate single families. You have the same problem we do. You have no state income tax. So it gets assessed to the property. Look at Houston, look at Austin. Look at anybody in Austin. They are now writing checks for their single family houses that they bought a couple of years ago because the taxes have gone so high. Just don't like it. Don't like it. So that's where I think you put every single deal through a calculator, through, what are the returns going to be? And if the returns are even just twice, the interesting thing that you can look at is that your costs are less. A duplex to operate, your costs are less than 2x a single family house because you don't have 2 roofs. You have 1 roof. Sometimes you have 1 heating system. Sometimes you have, what else might be of 1 chimney. But that's where, those are the numbers that I'm looking at, my man. Let's see. Kyle Dorn, one of the most valuable things in the course was writing descriptions. I've been crushing it with them. Wait until you see it advertised. I hope you're impressed. I look forward to it. So what Kyle's referring to is he's referring to the fact that I've got 27 years of experience in corporate marketing and sales, and I've got 22 years experience as a landlord. So what I have done is I have created the ultimate ad that absolutely kicks ass, that Dion complains gets him too many applicants to get through. But I have completed that ad, and it absolutely crushes. I get anywhere from 3 to 10 times as many applicants as my competitors do. And I always end up with the better tenants every single time, because we get more asses and elbows through that door, and we're able to say no to more people. We get to tell people no more often than anybody does. Paul Jensen, have the Lambo seller placed in the garage as included in the sale. I could try. I'd have to talk to beautiful Bob about that. Jim Van Tissel, insurance is horrible here. One of the reasons, hard to cash flow, especially in any rural areas. Jim, you're exactly right. It's really hard in a lot of places. But I can honestly tell you, in California, as bad as it is, you ain't seen nothing until you see New Orleans. Nolans. You ain't seen nothing. I've seen policies go from 20 to 40 to 60 in 3 years. It's insane. Insane. Looking at multis right now, more bang for the buck. Absolutely. 2, 3s, and 4s. You can still buy them with Fannie Freddie money. You can still buy them with 5% down if they are owner occ. I absolutely swear by that strategy. I lived it. I did it. I did 9 and 13 years. And we'll be talking about that out the one rental at a time event this year. Let's see. Have a limb. Nope, already did that one. Sorry. I want to start closer to home on my first 1 or 2. Yeah, I get it. Yep. Short-term rental. Yeah. I don't love short-term rentals. It's a business. It's a job. And so you can certainly do it, but honestly, short-term rentals don't teach you anything about what it's like to be a landlord. They teach you what it's like to be a business owner. Yeah. Short-term rentals don't teach you that. Paul Jensen, I've seen a Porsche included in a house sale. Oh, I've seen cars included in house sales for sure. The problem is that the car wasn't $250 and the house was $250. Flavio, how are you, my friend? Hi, everyone from Grandview. Hey, Matt, you're not going to be able to have a subscription fee on YouTube like Dion. I don't think so. That's not the plan. Nope, that's not the plan. Is that marketing part of the boot camp? Yes, Jim, it is. Yep, it actually is. It's actually part of the course. It's part of the course. So there's kind of 2 steps to everything, right? Everything is in the course. Watch the syllabus. It's right on lumberjacklandlord.com. You can watch the syllabus. Everything is in the course. And then what we do in the boot camps is we take those ideas and we expand on them. If somebody's going through a project during the course of the boot camp, we talk about that project. That way everybody can learn. So yeah, everything core is in the course itself. All of our templates, there's I think 18 or 19 documents, move in, move out checklists, tenant warning letters, emails, complaint emails, advertising emails, response to ad emails, all of that stuff I built out. All of that stuff is in there. How to document your unit. Here's all the things that you should be tracking, like all of that stuff. Yep. I get exact same results with the listings. Yep. I get the exact same results. Yeah, exactly. Crazy numbers, right? Wealthfund Journey, Nolans, basically like a city of soup. Yeah, it's so far underwater. And when levees break, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Kyle Dorn, I'm starting to invest in more beam market to de-risk a little. I like that. Suffering a couple points on the ROI, but I'm okay with that. Would you agree with my approach? I mean, generally speaking, having 9 seconds now to have evaluated it. Yeah, I always like diversification. And again, I do all B and C, right? I do all B and C. And that way I have A's move down to B's. B's sometimes move up into A's. C's always move to B's. B's sometimes have to downgrade to C's because they want more space, but they don't want their rent to go up. And that's the key, is you create your own economy. So I've had people move into a studio, then move into a 4-bedroom, 5 bedroom, 4 bedroom, then move into a 2 bedroom with a roommate, then get a 1 bedroom with a girlfriend or boyfriend, where we've had the same tenant, 3, 4 times, or in 3 different units, 3, 4 different units. But it's because I created that economy. Excuse me. Jim Van Tassel. Yeah, there's the link right there. Wealth Building Journey. We'd love to have you in the course. I know it'll make you better. There's no doubt. You can ask any of the guys in this chat, any of the people in this chat, if they feel like they've saved $1,000 in their journey by taking my course. I don't think you'll find anybody that won't tell you that they didn't save multiples of that. Jim Van Tassel. I've been a self-employed contractor for 31 years, right up my alley. Nice. Very cool. Paul Jensen, the house was $550 and the Porsche was $70K. Your resale can be a short-term capital gain loss for tax benefit. Yeah, loss for yes. Hyder about 17 years for yep, that's right. Yeah, Hyder's self-employed. Tim Crawford, you are absolutely about New Orleans, Louisiana. The insurance sucks right now. Yeah, Tim, I'm sorry to hear that, my man. But yeah, sadly, it's brutal. It's brutal. The insurance, because here's what happened. You had all the losses happening during COVID. Then you had all the massive increased property values and also the replacement costs. What's going to have to happen is it's going to have to be a few years of people homeless, fewer losses, less use. Pricing comes down and that's going to be, an inflation thing. The economy takes a hit on jobs. Then hopefully fewer people are working, not hopefully because I'm hoping that fewer people have jobs, but that's what slows the inflation down and becomes disinflation, potentially deflation. And that's where it's going to take you. Yeah. That's where it's going to take you is, then costs will finally go down or they'll at least plateau because rents plateaued for about 5 years for me. I had about 5 years where rents completely plateaued. And when we would put something back on the market, we might add $50 after somebody lived there for 3 years. And for the last few years, it was like, yeah, sure. Let's add 500. Let's add 700. Let's add 1,200. We did that on plenty of units. The record was we went from 1,250 to 32 on one unit. 1,250 to 32. And the tenant was an asshole when they were there. They were an asshole. They're getting a huge deal. They were assholes. They're like, well, we're just going to have to leave. I said, fine. Don't let the door hit you in the ass. And they're like, that's so unprofessional. Dude, you're paying $1,200 for a unit that I can get $3,000 for. F off. All Nighter Hunter, you just did some great work with Millennial Mike and Gary, correct? Yes, he did. Yep. Jason Calasabetta, saved way more time than $1,000 in a short amount of time. Thanks, Jason. I appreciate the endorsement. Wealth Building Journey. I've taken the course 5 times, going through it a 6th time now. Love that. Yep. All Nighter. That was actually back in May of last year. I know. Can you believe it? So maybe not me, but we've worked together. Yeah. Hyder was back doing work in Gary, Indiana last year. So it's good stuff. But all right, guys, it's 11 and my voice is fried if you couldn't tell. And I still need a yelling voice because tomorrow's Friday and I have to yell at people what was not completed. I'm just joking. It's been freaking so cold here. It's so bad. But anyway, I'm excited. Guys, pray for the folks out there in California. Pray they get better leadership. But hey, if you vote them in, sadly, it's going to be your job to vote them out. But I hope you guys have a fantastic night. Thanks always for coming and spending time with me. Sorry I wasn't here for you last week. I look forward to our time together as well. But I was cooked. So antibiotics are finally catching up. Double ear infection. So it's a little bit of this. It's a little bit painful. But I appreciate you guys. Hit the like button on the way out. And more importantly, share the stream with people. That's what, look for things. If people are going through it, send them to the channel. Have them ask questions. I answer most of them as I try. I'm way behind now, but I try. Guys, really appreciate everyone's participation. Like Hyder said, Wealth Building Journey, you guys are awesome always for showing up and moderating for me. I appreciate that. And so, yeah, excited to be on another year with this. We'll finish up the couple big projects that we have. And then you guys will see some stuff coming up on the project house that I've got, the community house. we're not far off of being done from the last thing I heard. Last thing I heard, I think, is we're down to a little bit of carpentry and then paint job and then floors and kitchen. And the floors are actually done. It's just sanding them. We wait until after all the walls are done. So that should be that. But California literally looks like hell on earth. Please vote Gavin Newsom out. Yeah, hope so. Big Hill, thanks. I appreciate it. I will do my best to feel better. You stay safe, my friend. Guys, have a great rest of your week and be blessed. Take care. Bye, everybody.